Mahalo, Jen. Wow, she knows how to make a girl cry. Yes, what an amazing space to be in. You know, you guys, you see these picnic tables? That was it. Like it was a container and picnic tables. Yeah, those same ones, they look all refurbished, really awesome. But yeah, mahalo for having me. Mahalo for coming and spending your Friday sunset time with us. I'm really excited to talk to you folks about Limu. This journey of Limu probably started when I was a kid, but right now it's been pretty prominent for about the past 5 or 6 years. So I'm excited for you folks to learn and also continue on your Limu journey as well. Like Jen said, I'm the Limu Hui Coordinator with Kua'āina Ulu Auamo. We are a nonprofit organization based out of Waihe'e on Oahu, but we help serve our communities in natural resource management. That's community-based. And so we believe that communities should have a say and need to have the say in how we can better manage our natural resources. So we work with a lot of lineal descendants, but also with a lot of communities who just really love their place and who have the heart to want to come in and do better in what's pono for their areas. So as a disclaimer, I'm first and foremost a practitioner. And so the way that I do research is different. I do a lot of kilo. I do a lot of talk story with kupuna and other people who have done these practices for a long time. That's another kind of research, right? But I don't have a lot of the scientific names, and I don't have a lot of that kind of like serving and that kind of ike right now. But I just want you to know that I'm just sharing from my experiences, which have been pretty extensive with a lot of kupuna lo'ea or limu practitioners. So let's start on the Limu journey. So what is Limu? I know you guys can see this, okay, but what is Limu? Can anybody just shout it out for me? I'm a teacher, so
ocean
seaweed, okay. Anything else? Food, okay. Medicine, right on.
Flavoring.
What was that? Flavoring? Oh, love it. The spice.
I like it.
Spice. Yes.
Seagrass.
Okay. Debatable. I've had somebody who got into it with me once. Debatable. So I'm gonna give you Pukui and Albert's definition, which is a general name for all kinds of plants living underwater, both fresh and salt. Okay, so also algae growing in any damp place in the air, as on the ground, on rocks, and other plants. Also mosses, liverworts, lichens. Oh, I love the lichens. So, I mean, yeah. Our kupuna really saw connections between all of these living things. And so you can find Limu all the way at the top of the summits of these mauna, all the way down to the kai. And I bet you can see Limu all in these rocks and on the trees, and it's fascinating. So, but the Limu that we focus on are seaweeds, and which is our macroalgae, okay? And so I wanted to show you parts of the Limu, because a lot of people don't know, like, well, what is it, you know? So Limu, you'll see that they have basically, what I like to say is that they're plants living in water, but they actually don't have roots, okay? You're like, oh, how does that work? Okay, so Limu have what's called a hold fast, okay? And so a hold fast is not necessarily roots, because the way that limu sucks up all the nutrients, like how plants suck up nutrients through their roots, limu, they actually pull all the nutrients through everything, their whole phallus, all their body, okay? So what they do have is a hold fast, and the reason why they have the hold fast is so that they can hold fast to the rock, and then they can move in the ocean, and they can, absorb all those nutrients, and they can grow, right? So make sure that when you go look at limu, you always look at where the bottom and what's attached to the rock, and you can see that hold fast. Sometimes it's buried in the rock, and don't go digging, but for the most part, it's there. There's the whole part of the hold fast, okay? And so I always get the question like, okay, if they don't have roots, then I can pull it, right? No. So a lot of people don't know how to properly harvest limu, okay? And so this is a little quick tip. When you go out to the kai and you want to go pick limu, the way that you pick it is you pinch, okay? So you go right by this ho'opa'a, this hold fast, and you just pinch it off, and you leave the ho'opa'a. And so because of that, it'll start to grow again. Okay. And so that's how you keep the cycle going, right? So you can always harvest again. So make sure you're pinching, you're not pulling, okay? Pinch it off. Okay, that was your little tip for harvesting. And speaking of food, because a lot of us like to pick limu for food, limu is an important piece of the aquatic food chain. So, does anybody know what a carnivore is? Me, I love it. Okay. How about an herbivore? Do we have any herbivores here?
Right over here.
All right. Yep. Okay. So limu is really important because it feeds our herbivores in our fisheries, right? In our marine ecosystem. And what I've heard from Kupuna and comparative, because some people maybe don't see it, think of cows and grass. So limu is the grass, and cows are feeding on it, right? The herbivores are the cows, okay? And so they're eating on all those limu. And then how many of you love ahi poke? Raise your hand. Yeah. So we need our herbivores, right? Because our carnivores gotta eat, right? Our ahi's gotta eat. So that's why limu is important. It's that bottom of the food chain. It's the base of the food chain. It's that foundation, right? So that's why we need to continue to have limu in our marine ecosystems. Where is limu found? Anybody know? I kind of said it, right? It's in our marine ecosystem, and then all the way up to the mountain. But it's in our intertidal areas, okay? So intertidal areas are where our shorelines, our coastlines are. That's where you'll find a lot of our seaweeds. And the place that you find limu is near what's called a mulivai, or that opening out from that stream area. And so the mulivai, Uncle Henry Changwo from Ewa Limu project, he was a Ewa Beach resident. He said that the mulivai is where the vai meets the kai, the limu hanau. And so that means when the fresh water meet the seawater, the limu is birthed there. Mm-hmm. And so when you go to a lot of these stream mouths, you'll see that there's so much life there. You'll see baby fish, you'll see different kinds of crustaceans, and you'll see lots of limu growing on the rocks and places like that. And so that's why we need to ensure that we have these streams flowing. Yeah, we have to make sure that the vai goes into the ocean. Yeah. Oh, we got a question.
Quick question.
Yes.
There's also underwater springs besides
Yes.
the rivers.
Yes.
I know that can flow into the ocean too.
Yep. So
Aside.
submarine groundwater also too is a very, very important piece of the marine ecosystem as well. And I was gonna get to that. No worry, you get them. So indicator of vai. And so vai is really important, and a lot of our limu love vai, and vai is freshwater. And so an indicator where you can find vai is you see green limu. Green limu love vai. And so when you're on the papa, when you're on that reef flat, and you're seeing a lot of like green limu, like this palahalaha, this is an indicator of vai. So there is probably a punavai, a spring that is around that area. So palahalaha, also ele, those are different ulva species. Those are indicators of freshwater. So I really challenge you to go look when you're on the papa. If you see like a big patch of it, ooh, maybe there's some really vai over there. Also, I always get the question, how many species of limu is there in Hawaii? I'm going to tell you a lot. And there's been a lot of debate on how many. One of the numbers I heard was 250 species. I've heard 500 one time. But we have a lot. And what's so amazing about Hawaii when it comes to our limu is that a lot of our kupuna named the limu, even if they didn't eat it, like per se. So, you know, a lot of our South Pacific cousins, like our cousins in Tahiti, in Samoa, Tonga, they name a lot of the limu that they eat. But when I've asked them, oh, what is this one? What is that one? They don't really have names for them because they don't eat it. And I can't say that that's for everyone, right? But I will say that that's a common thing. But for Hawaii, they did name a lot of limu. And we're still discovering names too. And a great resource for recovering our inoa for our limu has been the Nupepa. So a lot of our Hawaiian newspapers, there's a lot of limu in there and a lot of mo'olelo that are connected to limu. So if you're looking in the Nupepa and you find one, like send it my way. I love to collect them. And so another fact, and I always like get people asking about limu, like, oh, I went to the papa and I didn't see this limu, and I haven't seen it for like this span of time, so there's no more. And I always caution people about limu that limu is seasonal. And so you'll see that there's a lot of limu at certain times of the year, and then you'll see a dieback where you're not seeing limu. And so you have to make sure that you kilo the area. You're looking into where you're seeing your limu or you're gathering your limu, because it'll have diebacks. And sometimes they won't come back for years, I've heard from some people. But make sure that you remember that. So right now we're in Kauwela, the hot season, right? We're seeing a lot of dieback of like limu kala and other kinds of limu. But what's great is that you'll see that they still have their holdfast. So if you really can identify the holdfast of the limu, it's still there. But you won't see like all their blades and everything. But then you'll see when it's ho'oilo time, when it's the wet season, oh wow, beautiful, growing long, ready to harvest. So you just really have to kilo and really focus on, oh, at this time it wasn't really growing, but wow, it's like abundant at this time. So make sure that you remember that limu have seasons. So I've been talking a lot. I just wanted to touch base into like the uses of limu. So a lot of you, how many of you eat poke? Raise your hand. Okay, right? Okay, pretty common to have limu in your poke. How many of you eat spam musubi? Okay, yeah. Right on. How about sushi? Okay, so are you eating limu? Yeah, because it's not a true spam musubi if you don't have the nori, right? Like you gotta have the nori wrapper. Okay, so what's great about limu, especially in our kupuna diet, is that limu is a spice. Yeah, the spice. And so it's so interesting to be on this limu journey where I've been eating a lot of different kinds of limu, not just the kind that you get in your poke, which is usually it's manawea. But I've been eating, I was just telling the WTFI crew, I've been eating limu lipoa recently. And lipoa is like this, like, I call it the lingering lover. Yeah. So, so I call it the lingering lover. And it's because in Mele, when lipoa is mentioned, lipoa is kind of in like a lover's mele. And so when I eat lipoa, it's like later on throughout the day, you know, I'll be eating like other things, like something sweet or something. And then I'll like burp and there's lipoa in my mouth. And you know, sometimes a lingering lover like comes in, right? And it's like, oh, okay. Anyway, that was real anti of me, but so lipoa is like one that I've been really into recently. But does anybody have a favorite limu that they know and love to eat?
Kohu.
Kohu? Kohu, yes. Yes. Very ono. Any others?
So you can buy limu at Costco.
You can buy limu at Costco.
How is it? Have you bought it?
I have not, no. But no, but what's great is that we have Nelha here, right? We have we have some limu farms here that actually produce, they mass produce limu so that we can eat it in things like poke, right? So, so that's nice. But I have heard from some kupuna, it's not the same. It's not the same as like picking from, you know, down at the kai. So, yeah.
So,
Yes.
what kind is it when you get poke and you get like ocean salad?
What kind is it when you get ocean salad poke? I really don't know what kind that is.
The green one.
Yeah, it's like this one.
Yeah.
It kind of does. Yeah. I don't know if it is an alva. I'm not sure. Yeah. Kalamai, I don't know. Yes.
So can you, it depends on how not polluted the water is, obviously, right? So have you found that you can pick in most areas as long as there's not a lot of, like, how do you know whether it's safe to eat or?
Yes, thank you. How do you know if it's safe to eat? So that's where kilo comes in. And so where you want to see where your groundwater is outputting into the ocean, you want to make sure that you're not getting a lot of pollutants.
Right.
So where I live in Kaneohe, I live in Kahalu'u, Kaneohe Bay, Kawaha, Kamano, that area sees a lot of ground surface water that goes through canals, and it's not permeating into the soil and getting filtered back into the kai. And so we see a lot of pollution in that area, and so I won't pick my limu there. But I would say that if you're kiloing that process of seeing vai going into the, you know, into permeable surfaces and have that filtering, and you're seeing that clean vai going into the ocean, and you're not seeing a lot of those kinds of activities where pollutants are getting in, then I would say it's safe. Yeah. So when you see places like on Oahu where that's heavily populated, that's where you kind of have to be a little bit more maka'ala. Yeah. Mahalo for the question, though. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, go back to the seasonal,
Mhm.
that most all the types of limu are the same season.
Yes. So again, seasonality is based on your kilo. And so I've seen areas like on Molokai where things are really abundant, different kinds of limu are abundant. And then I'd go back to like Maui, and the same time, I'm not seeing a lot in some of the areas. So yeah, that's why it's really key to kilo your area. Yeah. Yes.
I also have a question about that.
Mhm.
So I'm working on this very complicated, or it turns out to be complicated, hydrological cycle
Oh, fun.
mandala for the Kona Airport mural.
Okay.
So I haven't thought about limu in this regard, but
Mm.
I know that a lot of the organisms like the opai and the keiki fish are really, very majorly dependent on a certain pH. And I wonder if that seasonality is that annual and it's repetitive, or does that have to do with how much water is coming out? Because you said the wetter seasons is bigger.
Mhm.
And I also wonder if you've seen that, because I'm studying, I want to make a document and a major art piece where people are more informed about what is the water cycle, where it's impounded or stopped, and what happens when we don't have enough, when development is taking too much and nobody understands that. And I wonder if the limu is a barometer. Yeah.
Yes. So
Indicator species.
we should talk story after. That was but definitely. And I think you're getting to where, how I say, limu is an indicator of vai, presence.
Yes.
Limu is actually also indicator of watershed health. Yes. And so in places that you're seeing an abundance of limu, not just in green limu, but all kinds of limu, and you're seeing generations of fish. Generations now, not just big and small. You're seeing multiple generations. You're seeing a healthy watershed system. Yeah.
Also.
Yes.
Well, so too, when you say seasonal, like Kona right now is the wet season over there.
Mm.
So is that when you see more limu over there? Because
I'm not from that area. But
seasonal isn't like a calendar season.
no.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Thank you.
It's not, right?
Not necessarily.
Yeah. So again, I always, as a disclaimer, like you have to kilo your area, and that's how it's so important for that, and why, learning from kupuna, like I learned from Wali Ito, who his kumu was Henry Changmo Jr., and he was born and raised in Ava, and so he grew up learning limu from his mother and his aunties and his grandmother, and so I've heard these stories where he could see what's happening down at his coastline, and he could know what was happening up Mauka. That's how in tune that he was with his aina. And so we need to get back to that. How do we do that? Very complex. Very complex. We have some answers, and I think limu is part of that as well, for sure. Kalamai, I'm going to keep moving on, but we will have room for questions after. So, how many of you brushed your teeth today? Yeah? Okay, I did too. So did you know there's limu in toothpaste? What? Yes, the kids blow their mind whenever I say that. So there's limu in toothpaste, in your skincare products, your lotions, and that's the agar that they're extracting from limu, yeah? And so you're really connected to limu, even like by brushing your teeth. It's really interesting. You're not far away from limu. And I heard from someone limu is medicine. Yes. Limu is used in a lot of la'o lapa'o. Kohu, limu kohu is used for people who have anemia. And so it really helps with the blood and the circulation. Also limu kala is kalamai. I always try. People are like, oh no, they did it in the past. No, like I did it the other day. Like, but limu kala actually helps to heal scrapes and cuts. It's a blood coagulant. I once heard a story from Uncle Wally where this auntie had told him about how she mushed up and made kala into a poultice and helped a surfer who had like cut his leg with his skeg, like really bad. And before the ambulance could come, she put the limu kala into his cut, and it was like all just not healed up, but it was ready to go. Like Baka could just like wrap it up and he could go surf again, you know. So yeah, pretty amazing stuff. Also, we also use it in our language. E kalamai. Oh, you're using limu in that way also, right? Who knows what e kalamai means? Excuse me, forgive me. Oh, sorry. E kalamai. Also, we use it in ceremony. And how many of you know what ho'oponopono is? Ho'oponopono?
Yes.
Yes. So it's that conflict resolution practice that we have. The way that limu kala was used is that is the thing that signifies that everything is forgiven. And so either the limu kala was ingested or people would hold limu kala. A beautiful way that I heard, and I think it was from Kalapana, that's what was told to me, but e kalamai, if it's not, but I heard that they would make limu kala lei. And so when everything is forgiven, and you have to think about that too, right? You have to think about, you know, these people who were just to the point where they just didn't want to be family anymore. You know, they're coming to this point where they're going to resolve and forget. They're gonna leave it behind. And so they would make a lei of limu and they would walk into the ocean. And as they are hiuwai, you know, the lei comes up over, they walk in as they're walking in, and it comes up and over and it floats out to the ocean, and everything's forgiven. You're ready to move on. What a beautiful way, right? To just leave it and continue on. So yes, so used in ceremony, and that's why it's important that we have limu, because we need to use it still in our practices and ingesting it and for healing ourselves. And so the way that we are doing it, one of the ways that we're doing it is we're trying to build a movement around it, and we have been. So I'm a part of the Limu Hui, and we are a collective, a network of limu practitioners from all over the Kua'āina. And so we are made up of kupuna, makua, some keiki, which is great. But back in 2014, Uncle Henry Changwo from Eva, he's the one that was basically said, gather us, get us together. And Uncle Wally Ito, who is the head of Eva Limu Project now, he wanted to get, you know, his dream was like, what if we had this auntie from Molokai, you know, see this uncle from Kauai, and they talk story, you know. And so that's how the Limu Hui was birthed. We have an annual gathering, which gets all our practitioners that are interested in bringing back our, you know, these practices and the knowledge, and they're knowledge holders. And we gather at one of our folks are a host, and we gather every year, and I'm the one that coordinated. Woo! So this past year, we actually gathered in May on Maui in Waihe'e, and we were hosted by Waihe'e Limu Restoration Project, which was amazing. We did limu lei planting, and we did hana together, and we talk story, and we talk about what we want for limu and to grow this network. And so it's really important that we gather, and we make sure to gather the gatherers. That's what we do. So also part of what we do with the Limu Hui is we do oral history projects. So we're trying to capture this knowledge that a lot of our Limu practitioners have in a respectful way. And we know that documentation is really important. And it has been because some of our kupuna have passed actually in the past 4 years. And so, each year we're losing knowledge. So with these people, but in some ways it comes back to us, which is really beautiful as well. We also have limu growers. So people who grow limu in tanks with aquaculture, which is really exciting. For the most part, they do it for restoration purposes. So they're not going to be selling it at the store. But their focus is on native limu, which is great too. And part of it too with the Limu Hui is we're restoring community, which is really important as well. If you want continuation and succession, you need to grow community. And so that's important for a lot of our kupuna and the Limu Hui. And with that comes limu abundance. So in whichever way that is, right? So what can you do for limu? This is my call to action. What can you do for limu? Get to know your limu. I mean, I got some really cool resources over here. These limu guides are amazing for learning different kinds of limu. It's not everything though. Also, collect limu. This is like a really cool limu press with all native limu. Most of this was actually grown by Uncle Wally Ito at his limu tanks, which is really cool. But collect limu, eat your limu. Do it respectfully though. Make sure you go with people who are from the areas too, or like have pilina to the area. And then eat it. Are you guys like, I love eating limu. I love eating it. And there is also there's a great limu cookbook right here. This is by Heather Fortner, who had passed actually a few years ago, but Hawaii Sea Grant reprinted this. This was her grad thesis, and she was like, I think it's a recipe book. But what's great about it is that it's not just it's from cultures from all over that have really established themselves and created a home here in Hawaii. So it's not just like from our kupuna, but also from other kupuna. I mean, one that's great in here is a limu cocktail. I mean, just limu lipoa in your like martini. Wow. Oh. But there's also a lot of great information in here too. So, eat limu. That's a really good thing. Someone said to me once, "Oh, limu is a ono way to learn," and I believe it. So make sure you eat your limu, and then share it. Sharing is always, that makes people connect and excited about limu. So for the most part, just share it. So that's all that I have for you. I know you guys have questions, so Yes, Auntie.
Is that Bali?
It is A'ali'i. Bridget, you made it for me. Yeah. Bridget made it. Yeah, and there's so much material here.
Right here.
It's amazing. Any other questions? Yes, Auntie.
As they're growing, limu, and how do they make sure when they put it out in the nature that it takes hold?
Some people actually, there are different methods, and I've seen people like monitor it. But also there are some people that just like let the turtles have a salad bar and the fish have a salad bar. And they've seen, so limu spore. And basically when limu are in that reproductive phase and fish and turtles are eating it and then they poop it out, ooh, that's when limu can establish, right? Yeah. So I've heard accounts where people will just take those like really reproductive limu and just like throw it out there, you know, and then they come back like later in the year and think, wow, there's a lot of limu in that area. So, you know, sometimes it's not that complicated to restore things. You just got to ensure that the cycle can still continue, right? So, yes.
Do we know much about how historic limu levels were compared to now? Because I guess you hear about like the forest and the birds and how that's changed, but I've never heard about limu, right? Like I don't know what it used to look like compared to how it's supposed to look like, right?
Yeah.
How it is now.
So the way that I have heard is through kupuna, and generations have their own baseline, basically, right? And so when I hear stories of, oh, when we used to go to Eva, like when my parents used to go down to Eva Beach, and they used to see all the limu on the sand, and they used to go and pick limu, they would like pick what they wanted. And then I go down there and it's all bare sand. Definitely you see that, right? And so, and it's so interesting to hear different people's like baseline. So like I hear my parents and Uncle Wally, and they heard this uncle that was, you know, and his baseline. And so that's why we need these oral history, because that's a measurement as well, right? We're measuring, oh, calamine. Those are measurements as well, yeah. And so if we're not having data in the way where it's in like written and papers and it's archived somewhere, it's archived with people and their experiences. But yeah, that's the answer I can give you. Yes.
So at the beginning you said limu, it's all the way Mauka down, right? And is that, are you talking about the water, or is there actually like freshwater limu found up in the mountains? And if so, which ones are there?
Yeah, so there is freshwater limu. Some people would have different names for it. I'm not sure what they are. I know there's scientific names for them. But what I was referring to is just limu in general, as far as the way our kupuna saw them. It's not just algae. It's like the lichens and the moss and different kinds of ferns. And what's so interesting about it is that if you see limu like that, like lichens and moss, and you see like their structures and their textures and the way their colors and the way they look, and you go and you look at different limu on Kapapa in the ocean, very similar. And so you can see in that view, that lens, yeah, that kupuna lens of how they saw limu as a part of that whole system and how it connects. Yeah. And Vai is a big connector. So that's what I meant. Yes, Auntie.
So if it's okay with you, could you like share with us one of your deepest experiences?
Oh, wow. Okay. Deepest experiences with Limu. So it's really interesting where Limu has led me. So it's led me as far as Kaho'olawe and for doing Limu surveys there. And part of the reason why the Protect Kaho'olawe Ohana had wanted to do Limu surveys is so that they could see how Limu could help indicate what's the health of their watershed and where it needs to be. And so one of the areas that we got to go and look at Limu is Kuhe'ia. And that's an area that they don't really have a lot of people go to anymore, or not yet at least, but it is on Kaho'olawe. And so so special to be invited and to go and just see what's over there. And I don't know how many of you have been to Kaho'olawe. Okay, yeah.
See it from here almost.
Yeah, you can. I mean, on a clear day, I've seen it, and wow, like amazing. But to have the opportunity to be in a space where it is like coming home. It is very, you just feel like you're safe, even though you know the history, so I don't have to tell you. But you feel at home, and kupuna are there, and everything around you, ho'ailona, like mad ho'ailona everywhere. So it wasn't fully about the limu. It was just about being there, and being with the people and us having that experience and collective aloha together. So, mahalo for the question. Yes, that's it.
2 questions. One is, so how is the health of limu on Kaho'olawe?
Okay, so in some areas, wow, like amazing, abundant. In some areas, wow, the silt, from all the lepo, all the soil going into, really smothers a lot of the area, but you do see diversity. And so it's really interesting. You'll see diversity, meaning lots of different species, but you're not seeing abundance. But in other areas, you're seeing tons of abundance, like fish coming up to you, like, who are you? Like,
So would that be where there's like runoff?
so in areas that are more abundant, there's not a lot of runoff. So in areas that there is a lot of runoff that you're seeing, yeah, diversity, but not really abundance.
My other question is ogo native limu?
So ogo is the Japanese term for manawea. So manawea is one of our native limu. It's Gracilaria parvispora. And so, you can refer to it either way. A lot of people know it as ogo. We are trying to bring back the Inoa Hawaii, so manawea, manawea loloa. Other people have different names for different regions and also different uses. So, just be mindful. Yes.
I'm in for foraging and I love the idea.
Yes.
Do you have, I don't know, as someone who's not done it ever before, do you have a starting point? I know you said go with someone. I probably can get somebody to take these. But just in general, like, I don't know if there's rules that you have about like what the abundance should be before you pick, and if there's a little bit, leave it be, or certain things like that, or even if they're wonderful native limu, but maybe there's invasive limu that's delicious too, and that you pick whenever you see it because it needs to get out of there anyway. I don't know if you have any tips on that, or
Thank you for the question. It brings up a really good point where when we talk about our resources, one concept that I'm adopting or have adopted is it's not take what you need, which has been very common practice, right? Take what you need. But your needs can be a whole spectrum, right? And so it's not take what you need, it's take what the resource can provide. And this comes with Uncle Mac Poi Poi, who's from Molokai. He's a loya lavai, I mean, this guy like caught me an ava. I was like, what? He just went over a wall and caught me an ava fish because I was like, we need fish for the poke making. And he's like, all right. I just pulled it out. It's like, oh my gosh. So so Uncle Mac, he always says, you know, if you're gonna create a puka within an ecosystem, how's that puka gonna be filled? And so you have to be mindful of that. Like, if you're gonna take something, what's gonna be filled in? So that's why we talk about like not pulling out the whole fast, right? Making sure you shake and dust off the limu kohu of the spores on your leg so that the spores can go and wash into the ocean. Like, it's that kind of practice, right? All for foraging, love foraging. A practice, I feel like learn your limu, definitely learn your limu, learn it on the papa also. So go ahead and take your identification book. I've done it, you know. But also like see what's abundant around you. And then if you're gonna take a little, then take a little and just start with that. As far as if you wanna start getting more into it, you know, our kupuna have left us a lot. And a lot of people are getting into giving us more information, right? I mean, all of us can learn Olelo Hawaii. We have all the things we need for that. We have all the things we need for learning about these practices. And so the person that needs to show up is you. And so I think just starting little by little, start with this cookbook. If there's a recipe that you really like and it's not available at the store, then maybe, go down to an area that you maybe have seen it abundantly and go and take little and start your recipe journey. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where it starts, right? So that's my advice, but that's my advice. But mahalo for the question. Any others? Yes.
Yeah, so in Central California, they have kelp forests.
Yes, kelp. Oh my gosh.
I wonder if they have kelp forests here, and is that limu?
We do not have kelp forests that are close to the shoreline, but we do have kelp. It's in the deeper ocean. As far as like forests, I'm not sure. But yes, kelp is amazing. Oh my gosh. When I was in Haida Gwaii in Alaska, I got to see kelp. Wow, that was amazing. I don't think I ever want to swim in it though. No, that looks kind of gnarly to me. But hey, all for it for everybody else. But no, I'm good. I like to see it from the top on safely in the boat. But also, you know, we have mo'olelo about like abundant limu like that would float. There's a mo'olelo that I've heard about Hina lau limu kala, and she's the hina that va'a, people who were on va'a when they were thrown off board, they would call out to Hina lau limu kala, and she would come in with all her limu kala and make a raft and float that person. So, and what's really cool is when I've been on the boat in like Alaska and or in Haida Gwaii, I've seen like sargassum, rafts out there, and so I was like, oh, there's Hina lau limu kala. So, you know, it's so interesting that even though like in Hawaii we have like these like limu and these connections, like it's all over. Like limu is all over, and a lot of our species can be found in different areas too. And so I would be like not surprised if like the kelp in the deep sea were like relatives of, you know, or like same species as like our Pacific cousin. So yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
I wanted to ask about something I saw last month.
Uh-huh.
I was on Lanai.
Oh.
This place called Kaiohia, this shipwreck.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so the little kohu there was like, there was abundance.
Mm.
But my question or concern was that the currents run down there and it just pushes a bunch of stuff, and so the water was loaded with plastic.
Oh.
So there's that issue that I guess maybe some places might not be harvestable.
Yeah.
for the plastic.
Yeah, and I think
I don't know if you've been there, if you've been to the
I haven't been yet. No. There is some people, Lanai Limu Restoration Project. They are growing limu, and they've been doing limu restoration in that area. Not that area of shipwreck, but I think it's Maunalei area. But yeah, a concern definitely, and a pollutant
It's
that.
hard to see because it's so tiny, but
Yeah,
if you go, anybody else went to that beach, it's just
microplastics all over. Yeah, yeah. You know, I haven't seen a lot of like plastic pollution in some areas that I've gone to Kilo, but definitely something that we're facing, right? So,
and it seems, well, as I've seen it there, it seems like something that you would spend a lifetime trying to fix it because it keeps pushing it.
yeah. Oof. Big
Sorry about
big
that.
issue. No, all good. No, it's good to know. Like we are facing a lot of these issues, right? And you know, on top of like kupuna who are no longer with us and guiding us in our physical form, right? But you know, it's like we have all of these kinds of issues too that we have to kind of navigate. So, but thank you for giving us another example of something.
One more real quick one.
Okay.
Is there any hui on the big island? I haven't heard of it.
There are some practitioners that have been engaging with the Limu Hui, but as far as like a hui of people, I'm not too sure. Hopefully in the future. Yeah. Yes.
Is there a store that you would know or a place that you could get a lot of local limu? Is it just KTA and Foodland, or do you think there's places that might have more variety? Or?
On this island,
Yeah.
mostly KTA and Foodland.
Okay.
I don't know about like our more like mom and pop stores.
Yeah.
I know that I've found like on Maui and Oahu in like the more smaller communities that they sell like limu kohu and lipoa, and wow, that was awesome. But I hope that one day we can get to that point, because then where these bigger grocery stores are selling, like but you know, harvesting or growing in a more sustainable manner.
Yeah.
But you know, I hear about kupuna who still have that ono and they're not able to access it, right? And so unless they have somebody that's able to go down to the papa. And so I want that to be something that's abundant again too. So yeah, but that's the only ones I know. Mahalo. Okay, a couple more questions and then we'll wrap up. Yes, Keisha.
Can you share with us the stories behind some of these limu names?
Oh, okay. Mahalo. So I'll share with you what I know, which is not always like the literal translation, but also connections. And a fun one. So limu kala. How many of you heard of the name kala? Okay. What are other plants that have the name kala in it? Puakala. Awesome. Akala. Okay, right on. Thank you. Okay, so this wonderful, amazing resource that we have, the Kumulipo. So actually has in the Wa'ekahi, it has limu in it. And the thing about the Kumulipo that our kupuna saw is that there's connections between everything, right? And so when we look at limu kala, we see really pointy, serrated blades, yeah? And when you look at the puakala and the leaves, and when you leave, you'll probably be able to see it. Are there pointy leaves, kind of like the limu kala? And a kala too, the raspberry, that pointy leaves? Okay, yes. So you're seeing the connections, right? And so that was what the brilliance, the excellence that our kupuna had, right? In seeing these connections. So kala means to forgive. It means to be in that state of forgiveness. And so again, that's why it's used in Ho'oponopono as well, right? It's that forgiveness, right? Aki is like that cutting, you know. Aki is a really common one that you'll see here on the island. I'm sure if you go down to the Papa, you'll see it. And can anybody tell me, so is this a green limu? Trick question. So aki is actually a red limu. And yeah, right? Isn't that crazy? Okay, so what's awesome about limu is that wherever the holdfast is, that's where it reveals that variety it is. So there's 3 different types. There's the greens, the browns, and the reds. And so when you go and pinch and pull the aki by the holdfast, you'll see that it's red. Because it's a red limu. What's amazing about aki too is that when you boil it, you get that agar, and you can actually make jello out of it. Yes, it's so cool. We also have another limu, pepeao. What is pepeao?
Ear.
Your ear, yeah. So it's the ear limu. You can actually eat this limu too. I've heard that you just the younger shoots are really good to eat. I don't know. Limu all depends on your taste and texture, like preference. Palahalaha. So palahalaha is one of the green limus, really frilly. It's a ulva. Ele is another species that's like, or a relative of it that looks a lot like palahalaha but really thin. How many of you have had ele with your beef stew? No, not yet? Okay. So ele is really cool because when it boils down, it looks black. And so ele means black. Palahalaha, kalamai, I'm forgetting the literal translation right now. Kohu is like excellent to be that favored one, and which is very, very appropriate because kohu is a very, very good eating limu. The thing about it is like kohu is not my favorite, but it is to a lot of our kupuna. And the reason why is the way they prepared it, they made it sweet. And when you pick it off the papa and you eat it right away, it's got that iodine taste already. And so that's not really the favored way to eat it. So when you prepare it and you soak it and you make it sweet, it's like so ono. So I like kohu that way. But that's the meanings and some mo'olelo to some of our common ones. These are the common ones you'll see, but there's all kinds of different ones. And you'll see them in a lot of our resources up here too. So I'm going to close with that. And it's time for us to just like launa and just have more drinks, eat. I'm going to be up here at the resource table if you have any more questions and want to talk story. Let's do it. We also have some stickers and some business cards. So if you guys want to talk story and grab some stickers, go for it.